everybody. Welcome to this episode of Mismatch. So today's guest is someone many Canadians feel like they know and honestly really grew up with. For more than 4 decades, he's been the voice behind some of the biggest moments in sports history. From World Series runs to Olympic chaos to unforgettable live TV moments that became a part of our collective memory. But in his new memoir, Cut to Black, he pulls back the curtain on the highlight reel and shares the man behind the microphone. He's interviewed icons, witnessed scandal, covered history in real time, and somehow made sports feel deeply personal for so many people. Welcome, Rod. How's it going?
How are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
Didn't come well dressed today.
No, you came
I
dressed.
didn't shave my legs. I just feel bad about that.
Not at all.
I thought this was okay, Sirius XM radio, but it's video now because you have to have video. You have to
have
stream.
video. You know how it goes.
Congratulations on your show.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely a mismatch. You've got good legs and I got terrible legs. Look at that.
Not at all. On the contrary, I feel like you're dressed for the occasion, and I look like I'm ready to watch the match that you're participating in. Honestly.
Well, nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well, and huge congratulations. I gotta ask you, why now? You've done so much. What made you kind of reflect, sit down, and be like, okay, I'm going to talk about myself for the first time? Because I'm sure you're so used to telling other people's stories.
I'm not used to being
right.
interviewed.
It's weird.
I actually got a few questions for you, Nicole.
I was like,
no,
please
no,
don't
wait,
turn this on me.
No. I think, I think after COVID, I had some time. And then, when I went freelance and I left TSN and CTV, I really had a little bit more time. Still doing a lot of games, and I'm still keep myself really busy. But honestly, a publisher came to me. Simon Schuster came to me and an agent, and I said, why don't you think about it? And I never say no to anything. And I really said, I don't know, I'm not into memoir, especially memoir. And anybody who knows me, I'm really like to tell stories about other people. But once I started going, honestly, Nicole, it was like my hands got sore, but it was like this stream of consciousness that came out. And I think it was kind of therapeutic too, especially after, the last couple of years, and we went through a lot with COVID, especially in the sports world too. And, my kids were growing up a little more, and they, I don't have to drive them around everywhere. And my wife was very supportive. And I just think, I thought it was probably a good time to do something like that. It wasn't about, again, I think, you've read the book, I'm sure, is that it's not really it's my stories about the stories and my kind of perspective. And I was so lucky and privileged through the years to be able to get to see all of these great events, whether it was sports or news, but mostly sports. And the best news of all, I didn't have to pay for a ticket. Now, dang it.
Do you know
Nicole,
how many people are envious of you?
For Christ's sakes, I got to pay for tickets now.
Yeah,
especially last year's World Series, man. That's a big theme in the book too. Is that I kind of uncover a little of the things that I think are wrong with sports now that we really need to get back to local sports, covering local athletes.
Yeah.
Stop gouging fans. The average fan out there who cannot afford. Listen, I make a good living, and I can't believe what they pay to go see a game. It shouldn't be that way. It should not be that way. It has to be affordable. Otherwise, sports is going to price itself out, and fans are going to say, screw you.
Right.
I'm going to stay home. By the way, I'm going to stay home in front of my big screen TV, and I'll watch these games.
And that's what's so sad is that we're losing that because so many people, and I think about kids, and I think you can relate to this, being a kid and falling in love with sports at such a young age.
By the way, you're not only interviewing Rod Black, you're interviewing Peter Pan. I've never grown up. I've never grown up, and I'm never going to grow up.
But you fell in love with sports at such a young age, you know what I mean? And that's the beauty of it. And it's such a shame that kids nowadays are kind of being robbed of that experience because a lot of people can't afford to buy the tickets.
Yeah, and the disconnect now that exists between the average athlete, and they've got to smarten up because of social media, and the media, the real true media who have taken journalistic courses, have carved their way to tell these stories, to get into press passes, to get close to the athletes, to tell stories, are now being usurped a little bit by the flash media, I call them, the media that's coming in and they're somehow getting a press pass, and they've never been in the trenches. And
totally
the stories that come out, I'm all for everybody getting a chance.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to do your job and you're covering a Stanley Cup final or a World Championship or an Olympics, I don't think it's right for somebody who's got their little podcast in, buttfuck Wyoming, to actually get inside to see them. And I'm going like, how did that person get that press pass? It's a privilege. I considered every day it was a privilege, and I never wanted to buck those rules, those inner rules. So it drives me crazy that and the fact that the tickets are so overpriced, parking, everything. Think about this, Nicole. Think about somebody coming and across Canada, but mostly in the Toronto area. Average family, kids love sports. Yeah. Go down to a Raptor, Blue Jay, or a Leaf game. Let's go Leaf game. The tickets are outrageous, for even a bleeder. But if you're going to come a long way, you probably want to get good seats. So you're going to go in the golds, and each ticket's going to be at the minimum $500. So there's 4 people. That's $2,000. Add everything up, it's a $4,000 night. Let's say their average income in the household is maybe $90,000 to $100,000, and they go to 3 games a year.
Yeah.
That's before taxes, after taxes. Do the math. Mm-hmm. We are going down a bad road, and I don't like it.
Yeah, it's something needs to change. I couldn't agree with you more. And on the other note of, I have a BA in journalism, and so that kind of thing drives me insane when I see that sort of behavior. And I hear you.
And everybody I love the fact that, and I'm sure you've had to go and talk to kids who are getting in the industry, and I love it. I love when people ask me, and how do I get in? And I say, just keep knocking on doors, but go get educated. Like, learn the English language, read it, do a lot of reading, write, and make sure you speak it properly. Now, there are some people out there who can have their own. Everybody can be a broadcaster now. You got your phone, and you can be a broadcaster.
That's what I say.
Some are successful. That's good. But I say this a lot, is that podcasts are like assholes. Everybody's got one. Everybody's got one. Everybody's got an asshole. And sometimes you live with one, like my wife does. But there are better buttholes than others. And, and I think in Canada, it's really hard to, carve that niche. You're lucky that you work for such a great organization. Yeah. I think that's important. Branding's important. But there are people out there who've been able, like the Joe Rogans of the world and the Spinning Chicklets. But I think in Canada, for instance, we really need to find a way that, as Canadians, we're not listening to the American narrative. If you talk, I'm sure do you follow a lot of podcasts?
Yeah, I do.
I guarantee you that 90% of them are American.
Are American. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
That isn't because Canadians can't produce great podcasts.
No.
It's because their marketing and branding is right there in our faces, and we don't take enough pride. Our big companies have to start producing. We did it with Bell and Rogers and CTV and CBC. So why can't we do that with our podcasts and get the great voices? We need a great Canadian podcast. I do believe that. I think you are the person
you heard it here first,
to do it. And your dad. Shout out to Nick.
Shout out to Nick.
How about Nick and Nicole doing their own?
Don't even start that, because that's my dad's retirement plan. Okay, that's what he wants to do.
I played hockey with your dad. He's the man.
I love it. I love that you guys go back. That's so funny. What was the difference, would you say, Rob, between hockey then and hockey now?
Pro hockey?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot. The game's changed a lot, first of all. The skill level is incredible. When I was growing up and when I was covering hockey mostly, like in the 80s, early 90s, it was incredible watching Wayne Gretzky play and Mario Lemieux. I still think the greatness level of those players, it exceeds what we see today, except for one guy who has the greatest skill level I've ever seen in my life, and that's Connor McDavid. He's great. And that's because back then the players played, and then in May, when it should end, not into June. When it ended in May, they took their skates off, they played another sport, or they took the summer off, and they raised money for charities, and they golfed, like the Leafs do a lot. The Leafs golf a lot. Did you hear about the new Leafs signings?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, Russian players.
Okay.
Tiyov and Samarov. Anyway. Sorry, Toronto. Not next year. Anyway, I think it's different. The skill level's higher. The game, I believe, is not as good in the regular season. The playoffs are incredible now.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible to watch playoff hockey. The money is much bigger. I think it corrupts a lot. I think it corrupts a lot of agents and players, I do believe, and they become more insular, and they're not as forthcoming, and they become their own podcasts, and they become their broadcasters, which is fine. The biggest thing I find between now and then, and I don't want to be that old guy because I love technology and I love innovation and I love growth. and development. But the biggest thing is betting. The biggest thing is betting. It wasn't back there. And I think it's another dangerous road. Hey, listen,
And it's
I'm a
starting
gambler.
younger and younger. Like it's become, yeah.
And all these companies can say, hey, you know, are you sponsored by?
No, we're not sponsored by
You're not
anybody.
sponsored by a
You're
betting
good.
company? Okay. This
Thank you for asking that
brought to you by
question.
BetMGM. BetMGM, Bet Daddy, Go Daddy, Bet Daddy, bet this, bet that. Everything is betting, and we're losing the narrative of storytelling.
Totally.
And not telling the great stories of those athletes. And when between periods, now we sit and watch, you know, the scroll plus 22 for somebody scoring and all that. And you're right. It's getting to these kids. And I've seen it through my own kids who are getting it at a young age. And I know they have 18 pluses, and I know they have all of these guardrails and firewalls. No, they're getting through. And they keep saying...
It's even just falling in love with the betting part of sport.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the essence of what makes sports so great is being lost almost, and it's like gamified in a way that you're losing the essence of what makes sports so beautiful. Do you know what I mean?
I love what you just said. It's gamified, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
The beauty of sports for me is the unpredictability, the fact that you can't write the script, and there's something new can happen every night, and it still does. But now with more betting, everybody who loses a bet is thinking that it's rigged. Mm-hmm. And probably isn't, but I can tell you right now, I guarantee you 100%, I could die tomorrow and leave this with you, is that there are players, there are referees, there are coaches in all sports right now that are being corrupted by gambling.
For sure.
That are in on something, that are betting too much. And that, if that gets down to this dangerous road, it happened way back in the early 1900s with the Black Sox scandal, the Chicago White Sox. That's why they put in a no betting rule. It happened throughout sports. They had a scandal in the NBA in the 70s, took them right off television. They had a scandal in the NBA, which they covered up with a referee about 15 years ago. And I know the referee. He went to prison. He was throwing.
Wow.
He was betting on games. If we get to that point, and I know there's responsible gambling. I don't think that is such an oxymoron.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you kidding? There's no responsible gambling. Gambling is gambling, and I don't want to be again that person. Because listen, I bet too. I don't bet.
Everyone does.
I like going to the casino. I like playing cards. I like betting with my buddies on a golf course. I think I have some good inside information. Like I got good inside information. I think I could probably make a living just casual betting, knowing the trends in sports.
Yeah.
I watch more sports than the average bear. Mm-hmm. I would not bet sports.
Interesting.
I would not bet it because it's not winning. It's not called winning. It's called gambling. And I just think that the losses are too great out there, and you keep chasing. Now, again, if you have it like a stock person and you're just kind of following the trends every day, this, there's a good chance that you probably could make little minuscule margins per day, or maybe a little larger margin. But the problem is everybody wants to win big. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's my rant on gambling.
I appreciate you being so forthcoming and honest about that. I think more people need to hear that, honestly, especially from people like you.
Well, especially too, like, you know, and I don't want to be the guy like, hey, listen, I had a podcast that was sponsored by a betting company, and I felt sometimes I needed to take a shower after that because I'm not into that.
I hear
It's
you.
not what I'm into, and I don't want to see my kids. I don't want to see anybody. Here's a little thing. Advertisers of smoking. There's no smoking anymore. Mm-hmm. When I was growing up, they advertised on cars. Smoking was they had billboards, magazines. I still think there are some in the States. You can't advertise smoking, right?
Right.
Because smoking will kill you. Can't advertise. Booze is out there. You can advertise booze, but you know what you can't show? You can't show anybody drinking. Because booze will
kill you.
So all of these ads in gambling with all these celebrities, even the responsible gambling ads, it won't kill you, but you could get killed. And you could lose a house, and it could
lose your life.
And here's gambling or cigarettes and booze. You're not really affecting anybody else when you do that. It's you put it in your body. Gambling affects everybody around you.
100%.
Everybody around you. And I feel like those people losing their houses, then you lose your house, and it affects
your families, everything.
And nobody knows. We haven't seen the reciprocal effect of that yet because it's still so new. It's still so new. Really came in, sports betting came in during COVID. They snuck that through. So
It'll be interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the things that I love, Rod, is that you go back to the origins of your life, and one of the things that you spoke so beautifully about was the relationship with your parents, and really where that love for sport came in, and meeting Bobby Hull, and and I love the storytelling. Like I can hear your voice in your writing, and it really is so nostalgic and so cool to hear.
That means a lot.
Like tell me about what that experience was like going back writing it, but also like attributing those moments to how you ended up where you are today, and all the things that you've been able to accomplish.
You don't come, and I'm sure you're the same way. You don't come. I think the more humble background you come from, the easier it is to tell those stories, and you realize every day that everybody thinks that you have to do things in life to get easier. I'm a big believer that I like to do things in life so that I can embrace the hard. Like I like that because then I know I'm making progress. If it's easy, then
there's no growth.
There's no growth.
Yeah.
So, and I never got that when I was a kid. But one of the things, Nicole, and again, I'm really aging myself, being 25. No, I actually am 18 Celsius. So 63. So when I was growing up in the early 70s, 60s and 70s, we didn't have the phone. We didn't have. We had 3 channels, and again, we didn't even have VCRs back then. You had Polaroid cameras. That was the neatest thing. You could get a picture, and it would come out instantaneously. There was none of that. But what we had was sports, and a community and a neighborhood. Everybody played. That's where ball hockey originated, because you played because there was no ice, so everybody was outside. That's how we got through the day. There were no malls for us to go to. You didn't have the distractions, and I don't want to discount what today is. There's so much great stuff in the world today, but sports was just our livelihood. We woke up early, sunrise till sunset and beyond every day, and with my brothers in our neighborhood, and we'd have stats and we'd have fights, and then the next day, and it was just every single day. It was like living out a pro dream. Because of those 3 channels, we only got to see Hockey Night in Canada one night a week. We got to see NFL football maybe on Sunday, or CFL football. CFL was huge back then. And
you couldn't record it or relive it. You had to sit by the TV and watch it in real time.
Real time. And you sat there. But my thing was, my dad always said, is that I was kind of reckless, and maybe the ADHD, maybe at a young age, is that I would watch the game for 2 periods. Then I'd be outside mimicking the play-by-play in my head, or trying to become that next person. And growing up in Winnipeg, where, the temperature in the winter was really cold, we'd be outside all the time still. And so I think that, and my mom and dad, what I love most about my mom and dad, and, I think about them every day, and that's, life is like a tourist stop. You're here and then you're gone, and you miss them a lot. But one thing I still have in my heart is that and I've really try to maintain that with my kids, is that they never put pressure. My dad was a pro hockey player, essentially, never put pressure on us to play at a high level. And it wasn't like that back then. Now you got to put the money in. My mom but they drove us there, 4 boys, they drove us everywhere. And I think if I gained anything from that, was probably that they weren't huge addicts like I am of sport.
Yeah.
But they loved their kids, and they would do anything for them, but they never
put pressure. They loved that you loved it.
They loved that you loved it. And I think that's good for every parent. I think that's a great lesson, is that whether it's arts, whether it's sports, fishing, loving books, loving to paint, whatever it is that your kid loves, make sure that you support that, and you're proud of that, and you're around, and you have the time for them. And schooling, especially schooling. And then if they decide that they're going to quit, I'm not a big believer in quitting, but all of us have. That's fine. Okay, you can stop. Guess what? You got to find something else.
Yeah.
And that's how life works.
For sure. That's what my dad has always said, the same advice to us. Or you're going to finish out the season, and then you can decide if that's not for you. Or whatever.
Yeah. What did you play when you were growing up?
I was a competitive dancer and figure skater, and so I used to listen to all your broadcasts because I was like a huge fan.
Where'd you skate?
I skated with Mariposa.
Oh, Mariposa. So you were up there with Doug Lee and Michelle Lee and Elvis. Elvis Stoico and Brian Orser.
Yeah,
all
those guys. That was like my generation of idols and heroes that I would look up to.
Skating rock stars. And it goes back to what we talked about earlier, how different sport is now. I loved doing skating. I was a hockey head, Nicole. I came into skating, and my cousins were nationally ranked skaters, but when I got to Toronto out of Winnipeg, they said, "You're going to do skating." I went, "What?" and I loved it. I fell in love with the people in it.
Yeah.
I still maintain, and it's not because you're sitting here, I still maintain that of all the athletes that I've met, the most athletically gifted athletes are figure skaters.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I mean, I say that all the time, but I'm also biased. But people don't understand how hard it is. And that was one of my questions. Like, what do you think is the most difficult sport based on what you know?
I would say skydiving, especially if the chute doesn't open.
Yeah, that's difficult for sure.
No. But I would say most difficult. Everybody else says, can a hockey player? I think the best athletes, pro athletes, that are more adaptable to any other sport.
Interesting.
Are probably hockey players, because I think hockey players could probably play anything.
Yeah.
I don't think a basketball player could play hockey. I'm just saying.
No, it's a different coordination.
Different coordination.
Yeah.
Baseball players, different heartbeat. Football players, very athletic. So I put football players kind of with hockey players.
Okay.
I think gymnasts are incredible athletes, but I don't think they could run marathons.
Yep.
Sprinters are incredible. Andre DeGrasse is an incredible athlete, great basketball player, adaptable. Could he be a great hockey player or a football player? Probably. But skaters, I found, because of the amount of time they're on the ice, and I did some studies on it too with some of the sports biomechanic technicians through the years about heart rate and what they went through. And I don't have to tell you this. Your short program is 2 minutes. Your long skate is 4 minutes. Doing a long program is like running 15K.
Yeah.
In 4 minutes.
Wild.
It's wild. And then to be able to jump and spin, and skating is, to me, it's evolved into this unbelievable sport now. And it's really not on television as much anymore.
I know.
Because it's saturated, and our networks have done a terrible job of promoting it and promoting our skaters. But some of the greatest people I have met in my life have been skaters. And we used to,
very cool.
Honestly, on Saturday nights, the ratings would beat Hockey Night in Canada. They were rock stars. Yeah. Elvis Stoico, Kurt Browning, Brasura and Eisler, Saleh and Pelche, Born and Kratz, Virtue and Moyer, who I met when they were 7 and 9.
No way.
And I think it's on YouTube. I think during a Skate Canada, Debbie Wilkes and I just fell in love with them. And I went, and they've become friends to this day. And
oh, that's so cool.
I said on the air, I said, someday these two could become world champions.
Wow.
So that's the only. Maybe I should have been betting then. But here's the other one. I don't know if you know this. This is a really good, fascinating thing. The heartbeat of a skater is incredible. The highest heart rates for a skater, and it's been measured, second is the female pair skater. When she's thrown for a triple twist or something, coming off that and then being thrown. Do you know what the number one spike in heart rate is?
What is it?
And you skated competitively, right?
Yeah.
It's when your name is announced.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Isn't that something? It's the number one spike.
I believe it.
Because you're nervous.
You're so nervous.
Yeah.
And I think, too, what makes why I love the sport and I admire it so much is like also not for anything, the danger factor. Like not every sport you can
wear
say
helmets.
That. That's what I'm saying. And like, I mean,
you got knives on your feet.
The amount of falls and the like, there's so many things that could go
Elena
so wrong.
And Anton Sigarlitse years ago, I remember, I've seen the video. I don't want to see it anymore. I can't watch it. Doing side-by-side camel spins, and it wasn't actually Anton. It was a partner before Anton. Her previous partner, and the skate actually stuck right in her forehead.
Oh my God.
And blood
I've seen
everywhere.
like a head go right into the boards.
Yeah.
It's so hard to watch. It's terrible.
And they're getting to a dangerous point now, with Malinin, who's unbelievable, doing quad axles.
I know.
I worry that there could be a fatality or really serious accident, but they're so well trained. They're so well done. And the best athlete, honestly, the best athlete I have met, it's not even close in my life. The most versatile athlete comes from the Mariposa Club.
Stop.
Elvis Stoico.
Really?
Think about him.
I mean, I love
Have you had him on a show?
No, but
have him on.
I have this picture of me meeting him when I was like literally like 7 years old, and my face was just like lit up. I was so obsessed with him. I have been. Yeah. And he was the nicest guy.
He was the anti-skater. He was the rock and roller.
Yeah.
And he was, but think about this guy. All this great rivalry, Kurt Browning and Elvis Stoico, And it's just back and forth, like heavyweight tussle. A lot of people like Kurt, a lot of rock and rollers like Elvis.
Yep.
And then Elvis, he has to be that guy, and then he eventually he becomes world champion, takes over the reign, and there was like almost hatred from the Kurt Browning camp toward Elvis. But this guy's so humble. He not only is doing that, he's a martial arts champion at jiu-jitsu or taekwondo or whatever he was doing. World champion.
Really?
World champion. Then he became an actor on Broadway. And he actually did that. Now a race car driver.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, a lot of people feel he could be driving IndyCar someday.
Very cool.
And he's been driving rally car. I've seen Elvis, I've seen a lot, and I was helping him out with his book in the early stages, and I unfortunately couldn't do that anymore. But no, I have the greatest amount of respect for that guy. He's so versatile. He's unbelievable.
That's so cool. I love hearing that sort of thing because, as I know you know, sometimes when you meet your heroes, they aren't always what they appear to be. Yeah. And so it's nice when actually your hero like is who they are. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. What was actually disappointing for me? I did Canada AM and I was doing a lot of interviews. Tony Robbins.
You know
Anthony Robbins.
That hasn't been you're not the first person to say that. I've actually heard that from a number of people.
Yeah, his stuff actually helped get me through the act coaching, and I would tell anybody that stuff works. If somebody in your ear every day trying for self-improvement, and
for sure.
I've
heard that.
But so then when I sat down like this in an interview. And I was so excited because he was working with the Los Angeles Kings back in 1993 when the Leafs were playing them. And I thought, this is kind of nice. I like this guy. Well, I've listened to him every day. He's in my voice is in my head. I can't get rid of this freaking guy. Hey, the road to someday leads to a town called nowhere. and then he's really, I don't know what he's adapted to now. He's kind of morphed into some sort of alien guy now. But I sat down with him and it was like talking to a robot.
Yeah.
And it was like all of those those affirmations that he had, I liked them. But it was. He wasn't human to me at the time. He had the biggest teeth I've ever seen in my life. And he was nice enough, but he wasn't genuine.
Yeah.
And I like genuine. I got a chance to interview so many people, Nicole, through the years of Canada.
If someone's not looking at me in the eyes, immediately to me, like the genuinity is lost, And so same thing. I appreciate when someone actually looks at you, takes the time to give you not like a robotic answer, a real answer.
And you've seen it with the Hollywood stars on those junkets. They're really hard because they just say it's... But
and
I always like to throw it at him.
The next.
I like to throw it. I did an interview with Tom Cruise years ago, and I'm a big fan, but not that big of a fan. And so I walked, and you know how you're in those junkets, and they sit you on the road, it's just like you're cattle, like they don't care, and they come in and they say the same shit every time. So I'm sitting in the Royal York. I'm like 10 line, and we're doing Canada AM the time. So I get in there and I walk in and I see all the reporters come out and none of them are smiling because they know that it didn't go well.
Right.
And they only give you 3 minutes and there's a publicist there and she said, you can't ask this, blah, blah, blah. And they take the tape away. So I walk in and I see his room. He's got a nice room. And I said, hey, Tom. He goes, hey, how you doing? And he's a tiny little guy, right?
Yeah.
I said, do you mind if I grab a beer from your minibar? Cut the ice. It was perfect.
Oh, that's great.
And it was a great interview.
Sure you love that.
Yeah, and I love that. And I kind of, that was my tact always. And if you're going to be, I did an interview, I don't know why I'm even remembering it, Macy Gray. Same thing. It was at Canada AM. Macy Gray comes in, and she had a lot of drug problems at the time. It was a taped interview.
Okay.
And I frankly don't know a lot of, when I was on AM, I didn't know a lot of these artists or who they were, but authors.
There's no way to always.
So I don't mind saying, hey, I don't know. Yeah. So she sits down, and it's taped in the afternoon, and I say, hi, Macy, Rod Black. She sits down, she's like grumpy and I think strung out. She goes, Rod Black? What kind of name is Rod Black? I got like a thrombosis going here in my head, and I go like, whoa. I said, what kind of name is Macy Gray? So that didn't go well, right?
No.
So now she's giving me one-word answers, like everything I'm asking, like everything I was saying, and I'm going like, as you know, and you do a very good job of it, you can't just have questions written down as an interview. It's a conversation. Listen.
Right.
So now, I'm not going anywhere she's going. But then I finally said, okay, if she wants to do this, I'm going to go to where she maybe is not comfortable. So I said, do you think, what about your family? What's it like to be a mom? Mm-hmm. You've had a lot of issues. How is it, traveling? And well, she starts crying.
No.
And breaks down and walks off the set.
No.
And I'm going like, and I'm like, I like being a nice guy. I'm never that guy
Yeah,
who's going to
yeah,
give that
he's trying
hard
to-
hitting.
yeah.
So I can't believe it. My producers, thankfully, it was taped.
Yeah.
Then about 10 minutes later, she comes back. Okay, let's go. Let's go. She gives me a hug.
No.
Let's go. And let's do this all again, Rod Black.
Stop.
Yeah.
So you triggered something in her
Yeah.
to be like, okay, I need to snap out of this,
So
get over it. And
everybody's
come back.
human.
Everybody
I think that
has a
comes out
day.
in my book too. I think that comes out
Yeah.
is that all of those athletes, and I'm not into name dropping. I hate name droppers. I said that to Justin Trudeau this morning.
I'm like,
or who was,
we hate it, but we love it.
I think he was turning over and seeing Katy Perry, whatever.
Oh, God.
I can't believe that our former prime minister, whatever.
Who can? Who can?
Well, that says a lot about him. Anyway, whatever.
That's
whatever.
another
That's
podcast,
good.
Ron. We're going to have you back for.
I like this show. That would be like, okay, so Mark Carney's happily married. Let's say that would have been like Jean Chrétien dating Celine Dion. Like, come on. I got to tell you, Celine, you know that my heart will go on.
You like do part-time comedy as well? Because you really should look into that.
I like doing voices. I do a lot of voices.
This is something I feel like you should do.
I do a lot of voices. And that's not, when I worked, that's all I did was mimic people behind the scenes. Because I take myself very seriously what I do, but I don't take what I do very seriously.
Right. I always say, I'm like, we're not performing heart surgery. We're here to have a really good time.
Yeah. And we're going to say controversial stuff, and people aren't going to like some of the stuff you say or whatever, but you know what? Convince me otherwise, and I'll have a really good conversation. Convince me. Let's have an argument, our conversation, and I will. Let's chat it out, and then you can change my mind.
Yeah.
And I don't mind being wrong.
That's the fun part. It's like the willingness to have those conversations. You know what I mean? I know we have to wrap things up. I feel like I could chat with you all day,
for sure.
honestly.
Let's do this again.
What would you want, based on your memoir, what you have accomplished, your life, what do you want your legacy to be, Rod? I know it's a really big question.
Yeah, I don't know if I really, to say legacy means that, like, I think legacy is for people who've really, like, doctors and lawyers and soldiers and generals and politicians.
You have been a part of so many people's lives and some of the greatest moments in their lives.
I would say, more than anything, I think people would want to know that, whatever game I was doing or where I was at, that I put my heart and soul into it. People ask me all the time, I'm sure you wanted to ask me for running out of time, is that what's my favorite event? And I always say, I've done them all, but my next one, whatever next is. So I prepare for that, and I love that I was a grinder, but at the end of the day, I was somebody who gave back. I not only played it forward, but I paid it forward. And I knew that with a public voice or, being in front the camera or on the air somewhere, that you can help somebody. I think that was more important to me than anything. So I'm proud of that more than anything. And just being an overall good guy. I had a speaking engagement yesterday for this group of engineers, and I'm like, I don't know what any of you do, but I do numbers. I'm a sports guy. I work in the toy department. But I said to them, I realize that we're all the same way, but the guy asked me, like, here, I got a big bio, and they always give you a bio. He says, what can I say in your bio? Like, it's a pretty long bio. I said, dude, just say, here's Rod Black, broadcaster, good guy, great dad, great husband, good Canadian.
Yeah.
That's what I want to be.
You know what? I can confirm all the above.
Oh, hey, that was fun. Thanks, Nicole.
Buddy. Thank you so much.
Say hi
I
to
really
your dad.
I will, for sure.
Yeah.
I wish you all the best.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much. Cut to black?
Cut to black.
Cut to black.